My name is Emily. I am 15 years old. I live in a small town with many trees and quiet streets. The houses here look peaceful from the outside. People say hello when they walk by. The flowers bloom in spring. The snow falls in winter. It all looks nice. But not everything is nice behind closed doors. I live with my dad. I used to live with my mom too, but she left when I was 10. I don't remember the day clearly. I only remember her face. She looked tired. Her eyes looked empty. She hugged me before she left, but it felt like she was already gone. After that, everything changed. My world got quiet, like someone turned off the music forever. For a while, I thought maybe she went on a trip. Maybe she would come back. I waited every day. I looked out the window. I watched the cars. But she never came back. My dad was different after she left. At first, he said nothing. He went to work, came home, and sat in front of the TV. He drank beer every night. He never smiled. He didn't ask about my homework or what I ate. He just sat there, like a shadow. Then one day, he yelled at me. I had spilled some water on the floor. I tried to clean it fast, but he came in and shouted. His voice was loud and sharp. I had never heard him like that before. I froze. My hands were shaking. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I just stood there, feeling like I had done something very wrong. After that, the shouting didn't stop. He got angry at everything, if the lights were on, if the dishes weren't clean, if I came home too late from school. He called me names that hurt deep inside. Sometimes, he grabbed my arm too hard. Sometimes, he threw things. One time, a glass broke near my foot. I stood still, afraid to move. At night, I didn't sleep much. I stayed awake and stared at the ceiling. I listened to every sound in the house. I listened to the creak of the stairs. I listened to the wind outside. I always hoped he would fall asleep fast so I could feel safe for a few hours. School was the only place where I could breathe. I liked my teachers. I liked reading. I liked being around other people. But I didn't talk much. I didn't want anyone to ask me questions. I always smiled and said I was fine. I wore long sleeves even in summer. I didn't want anyone to see the small bruises. Every day after school, I walked slowly. I walked past the bakery and smelled the fresh bread. I stood by the park and watched the kids play. I tried to go home as late as I could, but I always had to return. And every time I walked through the front door, my heart beat fast. I didn't know what I would find. Some days, the house was quiet. Some days, it was full of anger. My room was the only place that felt mine. I had a small bed, a soft pillow, and a tiny lamp. I kept a notebook under my bed where I wrote my thoughts. I wrote about how I missed my mom. I wrote about the dreams I had. I wrote that I wanted to be free. One time, I wrote, I just want to be safe. I never showed anyone that notebook. It was my secret. My small way to survive. On weekends, things were harder. He was home all day. He drank more. He talked to me in a strange way. Sometimes, his eyes looked different. They made me feel nervous. I kept the door to my room closed. I pushed a chair in front of it. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't think they would believe me. Who would believe that a father could scare his own daughter? I thought maybe I was weak. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe I was too sensitive. That's what I told myself to stay quiet. But deep inside, I knew it was not right. I wanted to tell someone. I thought about telling a friend. But I was afraid. What if they told someone else? What if my dad found out? I didn't want to make him more angry. I thought about running away. I packed a small bag once, just a sweater, a toothbrush, and a picture of my mom. But I had nowhere to go. I sat on my bed with the bag beside me and cried. I felt trapped. That night, I prayed for the first time in years. I looked up at the ceiling and whispered, "Please help me." The next morning, everything felt the same. The house was cold. The air was heavy. My dad didn't say much. He left early, like always, and the silence came back. I sat on my bed and looked at the little bag I had packed the night before. I didn't open it. I just looked at it and felt tired. At school, I moved like a ghost. I walked through the halls and sat in class, but my mind was far away. I couldn't focus on the words on the board. I didn't hear my teacher clearly. All I could think about was going back home again, to that place that didn't feel like home. During lunch, I sat alone. My friends were laughing at another table. I used to sit with them, but lately, I pulled away. I didn't want them to see my sadness. I didn't want them to ask me questions I couldn't answer. That day, something different happened. One of my teachers noticed me. She didn't ask anything. She just placed a small note on my desk. It said that she was there if I needed anything. Her words were simple, but they made my chest feel warm, like someone finally saw me. I didn't talk to her that day, or the next. But after a few days, I stayed after class. My legs were shaking, and my hands were cold. I didn't know what to say. I didn't plan anything. But when I stood in front of her desk, the tears came without warning. My whole body was shaking. I covered my face, but the tears didn't stop. She didn't touch me. She didn't speak quickly. She just sat beside me and waited. And somehow, in that quiet moment, I felt safe for the first time in a long time. I didn't say everything that day. Just a little. Just enough. After that, things moved slowly. I began meeting a school counselor. She was kind. Her office had soft chairs and a little plant in the window. I liked the light that came in. It felt different from home. It felt calm. She let me talk in my own time. She never pushed me. And every time I left her office, I felt a little stronger. I still went home every night, but now something was different. I had a small light inside me. I knew someone was out there who cared. I knew someone was listening. A few weeks later, something happened. I came home, and my dad was already drunk. He was angry. I had forgotten to take the trash out. His voice was loud. His face was red. He threw a plate against the wall. It broke into small pieces. Some of the glass cut my leg. I sat down on the floor and held my breath. I didn't cry. I didn't move. I just sat there, holding my knee, watching him yell. That night, I wrote in my notebook. I didn't write much. Just one sentence. I don't want to live like this anymore. The next day, I showed my counselor the small cut on my leg. I didn't say how it happened. I just lifted my sleeve and showed her. Her eyes got soft and sad. She asked me if I was ready to speak more. This time, I said yes. After that, things moved faster. I don't remember every detail. Adults came to school. I spoke to people I didn't know. They were from child services. They asked questions. I answered slowly, with shaking hands. I was afraid. But I told the truth. They didn't take me home that day. I stayed in a safe place that night. A warm room. A soft bed. A clean towel. I cried under the blanket for hours. Not because I was scared, but because I finally felt safe. The new house was quiet. Not the kind of silence that feels heavy or dark. It was soft and gentle, like the sound of falling snow. The room they gave me had light blue walls and a small window. There was a soft blanket on the bed, and a little lamp on the table. I touched the blanket with my fingers. It felt warm and clean. At first, I didn't talk much. I said thank you. I said good morning. But that was all. I was still scared. My body was in a safe place, but my mind was still in the past. I woke up in the night, thinking I was back in my old room. Sometimes I had bad dreams. I saw broken glass and angry eyes. I woke up with tears on my face. The woman who took care of me was kind. She didn't ask many questions. She just made food and left it on the table. She smiled when she saw me, and she said simple things like, "It's okay," and "You are safe here." Her voice was calm. Her words were soft. It took time, but slowly I started to feel better. I went to a new school. Everything felt strange at first. New hallways. New faces. New books. I was nervous every day. But no one looked at me with anger. No one shouted at me. I sat in the back of the class and watched everything. I listened more than I spoke. One day, in art class, I painted a picture. It was a tree with no leaves. The teacher came to me and said the colors were beautiful. I didn't know what to say. But later, I went home and painted again. This time, I drew a girl sitting by a river. She looked peaceful. I hung the picture on the wall near my bed. That night, I slept for 7 hours. I didn't wake up once. For the first time in many years, my body rested. My mind was still. My heart was quiet. As weeks passed, I started reading books again. I used to love reading when I was little. Now, I read every night before bed. I read stories about girls who were strong. Girls who ran, who laughed, who dreamed. I wanted to be one of them. I wanted to feel like them. Sometimes, I still thought about my mom. I wondered where she was. I wondered if she missed me. I missed her every day. I remembered how she brushed my hair, how she kissed my forehead, how she smelled like flowers and tea. I wished she had stayed. I wished she had taken me with her. But I didn't feel angry at her. Just empty. Like a hole in my chest that nothing could fill. One afternoon, I went for a walk in the garden behind the house. It was spring. The flowers were starting to grow. I sat on the ground and looked at the sky. I thought about my life, the fear, the silence, the pain, and I also thought about now. I was alive. I had survived. I had a warm bed. I had food. I had quiet. I had safety. And slowly, I was finding something else. I was finding hope.